Hey everyone, so by the time this vlog goes out I'll have finished up my 8 weeks of leave from work, and that was to be at home with Gillian. And I gotta say, it doesn't feel like 8 weeks. It certainly wasn't a holiday, and when you say it out loud, 8 weeks sounds like such a long time off, and I'm well aware that it's a long time to be away from the office. So probably by the time this video goes up that'll have finished, and I'll either be preparing myself to go back to work or I'll be back at work already, depending when I put this up. For the last 2 weeks I've been setting my alarm to try and get up on time, and aside from maybe one day where I rushed down to the airport in the morning, I've kind of failed at getting up on time. So next week is going to be interesting, to say the least, and will be another adjustment to the routine. So what I thought I'd do with this vlog is sort of do a bit of a look back over those past 8 weeks, and probably do some reflections on having Gillian at home. Of course, she's now 4 months old, which was last Friday, the 16th of March, and so we had a bit of a homecoming party with our friends this time around, and that was held on the 17th, which was my birthday, so we had a lot of celebration. So with 8 weeks off, my experience, the first 2 weeks were really crazy, I have to admit. Pretty much the first few days that she came home, it really sort of hit us that, oh my god, we've got a baby at home. Remembering that we had a fair amount of time where Gillian was 24/7 in special care at the hospital. So we could go visit whenever we wanted, and then we could leave her there and she'd be in full-time care with the nurses. And I'd like to take the opportunity to say that the public health system here has been amazing, and we have so much appreciation for all the nurses who looked after Gillian, even the ones that we may have had a little bit of a go at. But you are all amazing, and you did an amazing job. So yeah, so bringing Gillian home was, I mean, I expected it was going to be hard, and but it still doesn't set you up for just exactly how hard it ends up being. So for the first week we lost the routine that had been established in a hospital, and then for the second week we spent that trying to regain the routine. Bearing in mind that a lot of places only get 2 weeks off, at the end of that I just couldn't imagine going back to work. It just wouldn't happen. So for anyone who does just have 2 weeks, I don't know how you do it. I don't know. Maybe it's just out of necessity, maybe you didn't have the time or whatever, but yeah, that's just crazy. And I think it would be even tougher for someone who has just had birth and brought the baby straight home. As I said, so Gillian was in hospital for a good 2 months or so, so we had all of that preparation, and you know, her 6-week immunization was taken in hospital, things like that, stuff like that happening at home. I don't know how we would have gone. The next few weeks, I think things improved. We started to get into a routine, but we were still staying up late, and that's something that I've needed to work on in preparation for going back to work. Staying up till midnight, giving her her feed, and then getting maybe 6 hours of broken sleep just wasn't working. I've been mega tired these last couple of weeks, just because you're waking up at 12, 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. to feed her, and that's just not really sustainable. And there were a few nights, certainly in that middle period, where either Eleanor or myself have not woken up to her demanding for food, and the others had to deal with it. And so that gets a bit challenging, because then your day is affected as well. In the past week we've been kind of lucky. There were at least 3 nights where she slept through, and we were getting 5 and 6 hours worth of sleep out of her. But then there have also been other days where she's been sleeping through the day, and then we'll have her restless at night. So I mean, it's just constantly changing, and people have told me as well that you might settle into a routine and then that will start to change, and I think we're on the sort of cusp of one of those happening, because we had this routine and now we're finding she's quite restless in the evenings, and seems to be getting more hungry as she's growing. And last week we took her to the doctor who did some measurements and stuff, and so she's now at 4.5 kilos, which is 3 times her birth weight, remembering she was premature of course, but she was 1.5 kilos at birth. She's now 4.5. And she is about 66 centimeters in length, so that's almost I think that's about 18 to 20 centimeters growth. She still looks small compared to other babies of her same age, and if they've gone full term. One of our friends' babies is a week younger, but there is a more fully developed baby, and yeah, the size difference is quite amazing. So Gillian does look small for her age, at least for the moment, but she is growing. And so, you know, even with all those frustrating times, and I think I may have touched on it in the previous vlog, sometimes you just have no idea what she's crying about, and some friends have told us that they have different cries for different things. Gillian just seems to have one cry for everything, and I think the main thing that changes is sort of the intensity of it, and sometimes if she's demanding, it'll go from 0 to full on crazy in no time, and yeah, you got to be really on it and ready to feed her. And of course Gillian's on formula, a special formula due to some intolerances, so we can't always have a bottle ready to go for her, so yeah, so just some things we've had to kind of deal with. So overall, even with kind of the frustrations and the stress and sleepless nights, it just comes down to it that yeah, it's you know, there are those moments when you're holding her and she's looking at you, or she's just doing the most simplest baby thing, or you know, just these little things that she's doing, and it changes everything, and it makes it all worthwhile, because you know, you're sitting there and you're watching and in amazement at every little thing that she's starting to accomplish. She's starting to become aware. She's starting to recognize things, or if, you know, when she smiles at things that you do, you know, even if it's just coincidence, they're things that you appreciate. Yeah, so as difficult the road is, and do not be under the impression that any of this is easy, it's still worthwhile, and coming from someone who was very much against having kids for a long time, I think that surely says something. And again, I'll come back to everybody who told me that it'll be different once I have my own. Yes, they were right. There are certainly still kids out there who annoy the hell out of me, and especially in public. But I suppose I have a little bit more of an appreciation for you know, what the kid's going through, because we see ours doing it, and certainly in public, God knows how much more challenging it's going to get. Yeah, and also for the parents, a whole new understanding of what parents have to go through with their kids. Not that it makes it any better, but yeah, certainly more aware of how we are in public, and how Gillian behaves, and yeah, just the perceptions around us, because people will judge, and it's actually really interesting, because we've been out in shopping centers and people will just come up to you and approach you and either offer advice, offer their concerns, or yeah, basically try and tell you how to parent, and that's really interesting. It's bad enough coming from within the family, and because everyone's got an opinion, but yeah, it's been more interesting lately that even the general public will just come up and approach you about such things. So yeah, be prepared for that too. And we've had stories from other recent parents of people who've come up and you know, started touching and talking to their babies, and only realizing later that maybe that's a bit weird. And yeah, so it's a whole new world, I suppose. So some of these points I might touch on in other vlogs. I think I've sort of gone through my review. it's going to be interesting going back to work. I don't know how that's going to play out, because no doubt Eleanor will be home with her all day. I'll be at work, then I'll be coming home and having to take over from Eleanor. So it's gonna be this new routine to establish. But it'll keep being interesting. And yeah, I mean, time is just flying. She's 4 months already, and in 2 months. And she's awake. So it'll be interesting to see how we go. In 2 months' time, she'll be half a year old. Hey, Gilly, you're growing too fast. And we'll be celebrating her first birthday in no time. So anyways, I better see if she needs feeding. But thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next ones. And maybe Gillian will too. Bye, Gilly. Aww. Good girl. That's a good girl. See you guys.